Good morning, everybody, and morning to EMA Industry Knowledge Share. Some wonderful news hitting our televisions and everything over the weekend, and certainly yesterday with the talk of the vaccine now being on our turf as of the weekend and starting to be distributed and people being inoculated over the coming months. But I think, as we all would appreciate and know and can hear in the news, that it's going to take some time. This is going to be probably a year-long program of vaccinations, across the UK, across Europe, across America, across the world. So it will take time, and as such, live will be slower than we would expect or want and wish to return. So the virtual world and the hybrid world is still the world of the next 12 to 18 months, and in fact forever, because I think everyone's now talked about, we've had many talks on EMA about people saying that we're not going to go away from this, we're not going to go away from virtual, we're just going to look to improve it. We will be integrating it more into hybrid. We companies are seeing the benefits of this. So the new norm is now under architectural design and development. So a very exciting time for the industry and for the market. And we want to introduce you today to a new startup, but a new startup developed by quite a lot of senior, I would say old, but senior people within the industry who certainly know their way around the industry, which is aptly called the Virtual Events Institute. Now, VEI, or Virtual Events Institute, you may have all seen some social media talk and networking, is an industry, a business that has been set up to help support and educate. So they're building a program. Well, they've built it now, and they're building a program of educational program. I think there's 6 to 8 modules, which is certified about helping people through the development and management and best leverage of different virtual platforms and everything else. So I'm going to hand over to Simon Burton in a minute. Simon. Who's one of the directors and based here in the UK. Most of you know Christina Petrova, who's one of our EMA council members. Christina, unfortunately, can't attend this morning because she has started a new job, which is great news, and already has calls set up. But Christina did the program a few weeks ago. I think she might still be completing it, but has found it extremely useful and educational. So Christina is available if anyone wants to talk to her. I think Priya, did she send you a little sort of
note so she knew she wouldn't be able to join this morning, but she really wanted to convey the message of how well she's getting on in the program. So if I might just read what she's written. She's put, I'm really impressed with the program that the VEI has put together. I found that the duration of each module between 10 to 20 minutes is perfect and engaging. Some of the modules offer a lot of information, so I've had to listen to some of them a few times, but this only goes to show how much work they've put into this program and making it so comprehensive. The course has helped me stay focused and learn from some incredible professionals. I particularly like that they do Q&A sessions for these topics most people are interested in. These sessions complement the program, and they're a great way for professionals to connect and network. I wouldn't hesitate to purchase the program for my events team. They keep on adding new modules every week, and I think they've developed something really substantial to help you stay ahead of the curve in these virtual event times. So that's
I'll go.
We got to say we don't need to do anything there, Simon. That's excellent. That's excellent. And I think there's somebody else as well, Priya, that who's already done the program. Yeah. And it basically talks about, well, I'm going to let Simon talk about it, but it's also there is also a great piece, I believe, on monetization, Simon, because we talked about that, about sponsorship activation and stuff. So there's a bit of everything. So as they say, with no further ado, Simon, over to you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Priya. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to join you for your morning session. I have my Troy and our bed coffee in the morning. My aim in the next 15 to 20 minutes is to give you an overview of the Virtual Events Institute, talk about where we came from and what projects we're doing. And then just at the end, I'll share a little moment in behind the back office so you can see what it's like to be a learner within the system and understand how it's working. What I'll stress a couple of times, and I think the testimonial, which I hadn't heard before and is incredibly gratifying and wonderful to start this off, is that because it's a learning tool, that's not going to feel very dynamic in this context. You're going to hear people speaking moderately and carefully, and as a teacher would. So I won't dwell on those, but I've got a couple of examples lined up so you can have a sense of what they're about. So I will do the ultimate bravery and press my screen share button, and we will hopefully be up and running. And I'll switch to a nice presenter view. So our mission at the Virtual Events Institute is to connect, learn and transform. The world has gone through a dramatic and sudden change, and for all of us who have traditionally worked in events and may well have started to come to terms with the impact of technology on them, the shift of lockdown in its various forms and its consequences has been quite profound, and we've all been through a very radical acceleration. So back in April, I received a call from Michael Barnett, and Michael is the founder and creator of a business called Ingo, and some of you will have experienced Ingo. Ingo is a social amplification tool. It's a classic piece of event technology. And he called and said, would I join a meeting with RD and Sophie, both of whom I knew a little. He had an idea. And the idea was to create an institute that encapsulated all the knowledge and information and best practice around this rapidly emerging market. And so the business was formed, and I think Richard's right to call us a startup. We've actually technically only been incorporated since, I think, July. So you'll see in a second quite how much we've achieved in a very, very short space of time. We all have huge amounts of event industry experience. I've been launching and selling trade shows and awards programs, many of them for the event space itself, for 25 years. RD was CEO of TSNN, Trade Show News Network in the US. And Sophie, who's taken the role of CEO, has worked at Informa, Reed, and Essential. So huge background in events and their businesses and their training divisions. So some of you will have seen the note that Richard and Priya sent round about this, but I thought it was worth dwelling for a second. By 2027, the global virtual events industry is set to grow by an annual 23.2%, which means by 2027, it will be worth $404 billion a year. Now, when you've got a market that's happening that quickly, it's important that we gather best practice and learnings and information together, and we think that's our role. We all want face-to-face to come back, but virtual and hybrid events are not going away now. They've broken through. So understanding what makes them different and how our skill set as event professionals needs to be tweaked, I often describe it as a graphic equalizer. Everybody on this call has the skill set. What's changed around virtual events is the volume of some of those skills and the moment at which some of those skills need to be applied. It's an intensity issue. So we have 4 pillars at the Virtual Events Institute. We have our summits, and our summits are really where we came from. We were running some event virtualization summits right back in the spring, which were attracting 10,000 people at a time. Our certification program, which is the piece of detail I'll talk to you about shortly. Our community, gradually building a community for people to share, network, and communicate. And our awards program, which we launched last week, because we want to gather that best practice together, celebrate it, and acknowledge it. So those are our 4 core pillars. And coming very soon, and I really, this is not for public consumption yet, but I felt it was so pertinent to this group that I would share it. We will be launching the Virtual Events Institute Tender Board, which will allow you as event organizers to post your virtual event requirements and match those to suppliers. And that will be completely free of charge to the event organizer. Although the founders have a huge amount of experience and knowledge across the various pillars and around events, we wanted to make sure that we were really plugged into the industry and also to the wider world of marketing and business. So I've got 3 examples of our advisory board here, but I do suggest you go to our website and check out our advisors. There are some quite special people on there, but I want to focus on 2 here to illustrate the level of insight we're getting. The gentleman on the left, Marco Gilberti, was the CEO of Reed Exhibitions in Latin America. But more pertinently in this conversation, he wrote a book about the changing face of events, which is an Amazon bestseller about digital technology being applied to events. And Marco has been an advocate for, sold a business to Apple. That was how he started with Reed, an advocate for technology and events for a long time. And his book is available on Amazon, and I recommend it to you all to read. It is not an outsider writing about how events are changing under technology. It's an event person talking about how that change has happened. And then next to him, one of our other advisors and someone who's helping us build our community model is Eric Lee. And Eric was one of the original co-founders of LinkedIn. So I think in those 2 people on their own, you're seeing the level of insight. And we're on calls with these people all the time, tweaking and modifying what we do to take that very, very senior insight on board. We are global. We are pan-event, and in terms of event genre and type, and we're global. Since July, we've had 18,000 visitors to the website. Over 500,000 people have engaged with our ads in some way through our retargeting campaign. 25,000 people have subscribed to our updates. We've got 2,000 followers on social media, and we already have more than 20 media partners around the globe. This is incredibly fast for a startup since July, and I think indicative of 2 things. 1, that there's a huge need for this information, and 2, that we're providing quality content. To focus on the training program, Richard was nearly right. There are 9 modules, and completing those 9 modules will allow you to be a certified virtual event specialist. You can also complete an optional capstone, and because we're so soon, no one's got to that stage yet, and we're just playing with what that virtual capstone, what the additional title will be, but it will be something like a plus module, or it will allow you to be a subject matter expert in whatever that capstone module is about, but that capstone is optional. The training is on demand, and I'll show you how that works in a second, so you can do it completely in your own time. And there's currently 12 hours of content, but we're adding to that all the time. And there are modules and exams as you go through. You'll see in a second when I show you how it works, how those bits fit together. But one thing I should say is this is equally designed for the freelance or the solopreneur who just wants to access that and test themselves. But we also have the facilities for that within a corporate environment to be managed learning, which is shared with your line manager, so that they can see how you're engaging. And we have a couple of enterprise deals in process. Before anyone asks, we are in the middle of CPD accreditation and should be fully certified within the next month. They've been impressed with all of our material and supporting material so far. It's just as a slight that the process isn't a quick one, but we're doing everything we can to make sure we're CPD certified, and we would anticipate that happening before the end of the year. Our subject matter experts, as we dub them, are where we really come to play. So almost all of the modules have multiple contributors. Some have 2 or 3, some have 4. There were only a couple that have just 1. And these subject matter experts come from every corner of the event industry and every land surface on the planet. So as you can see from this list, an incredible blend of people, but we've got subject matter experts from the UK and Europe, from North America, from Hong Kong, from Latin America, and we're adding to them all the time. And they're really quite an incredible cohort of people. And as the testimonials said, one of the things that we do is they're available for Q&As afterwards for the learners. And also, one of the things I've noticed that's very interesting is that people who are going through the program are then interacting with the subject matter experts on LinkedIn, and we're seeing discussions emerge around particular topics. I'll run through the 9 existing modules, but I'll just do this at a top line. You can see there's a lot of information underneath all of them, and all that detail is available on the website and on a downloadable form. But the 9 modules are attracting your audience, how to increase audience engagement, strategic design, developing strategic content design, monetization, as Richard said, how to choose the right technology, which is clearly very pertinent for those of us who are having to learn with this landscape very quickly. As an aside, Richard and Priya, have you shared the universe, the vendor universe with the EMA members?
No, not yet.
Right. So, guys, we have a you can go to the website and download it. We've created a universe of the platforms and vendors, whereby we asked them all what particular services they provided. So did they have networking tools? Did they have trade show tools? Did they have a sponsorship module that allows event organizers to very quickly narrow down the people they're talking to when they're speccing their project? We have a module on how to execute your virtual event on the day, how to measure, obviously, how to build your community. And that's become a very hot topic, it seems to me, around the emergence of virtual events. That community and the way in which communities gather virtually and physically is a vital part of your virtual event strategy. An introduction to hybrid events, and then your optional virtual event capstone. Plus one module, which will be confirmed shortly, which will be released in January. Once we've got those 10 core modules in place, which will be the ones you need to become a certified virtual event specialist, we will then add an additional module every month so that the learning opportunity in the library is increasing all the time. So a few things worth noting about the training program. It's fully on demand. You log in, you do it when you want, you do as much of a module as you want. You'll see that in action in a second when I show you the modules and the platform. Each module is about an hour long, an hour to an hour and a half, but it includes self-paced exercises. So one of the things that's really interesting about it is the subject matter expert will talk about an area of interest, and then there'll be a downloadable piece of material for you to go away as a learner and understand how you would apply that knowledge to your organization, to your events, to your objectives, and you get the time to explore that on your own. The capstone project we've talked about, learning objective sheets for your line managers so you can match those to internal needs and your internal training requirements, and post-completion learning materials. So you're building a reference library of all of the material. And I'm not going to tell you all the wonderful testimonials we've had already. There are some here. There are some more here because the testimonial we started with, I think, speaks volumes. Our net promoter score is +68. People are really, really engaging with this content. One thing I would say too, clearly hugely experienced event professionals like yourselves is, and it's been my experience, and I think the experience of people I know well, is that some of the modules initially look like it's a grandma sucking eggs scenario. But hearing the subject matter expert talk about it in detail with the new virtual event context, at the very least, is a valuable brush up. And I discovered yesterday, as I was working through one of the modules, that I was forced to completely reassess how I had been doing something, because the subject matter expert clearly knew more about it than I did and was compelling. And I went away and did the self-paced exercise very diligently because it was really impacting on my understanding of the topic. We have a number of upcoming events that are completely free of charge to attend, so you can start to become members of the community. Actually, we've missed the November one, but that was it's available on demand. A really compelling conversation about what the future of the industry looks like. Some very senior people, global again, across event types and businesses, starting to talk about what events look like in 2021. For those of you who are interested in community building, the December summit will be all about community building and will feature some of our subject matter experts. It's an interesting taster of them. And January will look at this all-important topic of monetization. I show you our sponsors for nothing other than to show you how immediately the market, the virtual event market, and the technology which is required around virtual and hybrid events has gravitated towards us and makes us the go-to platform. So that's me on the presentation. What I'm going to do now is let you in to my part. I'm going to need to drag that. I've got to drag my various bars so I don't switch you off. There we go. So,
Simon, before we go into that, let me ask a couple of questions. You might, I mean, you have answered, I think, already 4 of the questions that I did have. But just to clarify, that's all right. No, that's good. I've been writing questions down as we've gone. Each time you've caught on them, which is great. Which is one about ongoing learning, new product launches, etc. But my understanding is that you're also make it very clear that you're independent. So you're agnostic, would you say? Whereas you're not linked to any businesses. Okay, you have some sponsorships there, but you are going to be grading and telling people what different platforms, tools, services can be provided by different people in a very Which magazine style or money market.
Right, we're completely agnostic, and where there are sponsors, and you'll see that many of our summits are sponsors, those sponsors will speak as part of that summit, but it's normally one sponsor against 6 event people or 6 brand people. So they're very,
I'm going to say you're the Martin Lewis of the
sure, and we have
world.
And what I think is also important is we have partnerships with multiple associations and multiple media owners, and we believe this is a big sandpit and we can play nicely in it, but we are independent.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
And will remain so.
Great, thank you. Sorry,
was that the only question?
No, well, that's what I've got. Well, of course, I'm going to come to prices and costs, but I know I'm sure you're going to be talking about that towards the end.
No, I thought we'd completely swerve the money. And Amanda's going to. Amanda, did you want me to go back and show you the reviews of the testimonials, or were you talking specifically about seeing the platform in a second?
No, sorry, it was more relating to when you were talking about the sort of reviews that you've done. Do you actually start with the pricing? Do you look at the pricing model? Because that's absolutely huge, whether it's from a starting point, whether it's something you have to license for 12 months or 6 months, or whether it's a one-off.
Right, no, we haven't yet. Our first goal was to create a model of the universe that showed people what platforms did want, so that no one approached a platform that didn't have a networking module if networking was a vital part of their event. The tender board, where we've been able to be a bit more nuanced about it, actually allows the event organizer to specify a budget for the project or some budget bands, so that there are no pitches coming which don't match that budget. Because clearly, if your tender is, I'm running 12 events across the year for 500 people a time and I want to spend £3,000 per event, it is no point someone coming to you with a £500,000 budget. And we've built that into the tender board.
Okay.
Should I share the
Yeah. But the tender board that's a service that you provide. That's not something people have to use, because all the information is there on all the different providers.
Yes, we have profiles on all the different providers. Part of the we have a directory of providers which we're building as well. Yeah. But I take Amanda's point; it's a good one around the there's such huge variation of price in this market, and the platforms are so busy that you can frequently be waiting for a call back from a platform which was out of your price league anyway, because they're just not transparent about it.
Gotcha.
A couple more questions in the chat, Simon. So first one, the Q&A session you mentioned, how are these run? Are they run by Zoom, or how are they, and how regularly are they?
We've only done a few of them so far, but yes, they are Zoom calls with the cohort on that module and the subject matter expert. We also, one of the things we've done which has proved most popular has been Zoom calls with focus groups. So we have focus groups across different subject interests, so community building or research or platforms. And those focus groups reflect all kinds of different people from different seniority, different backgrounds, and people are really, really enjoying those focus groups because we are in such uncharted territory, the opportunity to share peer-to-peer your experiences of platforms or providers or just challenges. And we're seeing really great feedback from those. So actually people are enjoying the peer-to-peer element as much as they are enjoying the Q&As with the subject matter experts.
And then
Absolutely.
just lastly, there's just one more question before we see the platform. The training, is it aimed at existing event professionals or entry level?
Existing. Okay. I mean, we've got quite a broad range of seniority in the cohort. We've had some incredibly senior people from big organizations do the course themselves because they wanted to check it was appropriate for colleagues, and have all come back and said they've enjoyed it. I would have thought it's probably a bit much for someone who's junior or new. I'm not saying that. I think it's intended for people who have got experience of running events. And as I say, whilst some of it, there's an element of brushing up on existing skills, that is all within the context of virtual and how you adapt into that technology.
Okay.
So
you're going to go to this, you're going to show us a bit of the system.
I'm going to show you the so when you log in, you will see the 9 modules here, and you'll see where you have progressed on each of the modules. So I'm not a diligent learner so far on this profile. I've done 57% of this module and 14% of this one. And your achievements are logged and the streaks here. And we have several people on the course who are determined to be the first certified virtual event specialist. So there's a couple of people I know who, as soon as the new courses are released, they're logging in and going through because they're eager to be to get that accreditation. But so you then click on here. So let's click on how to increase audience engagement. And then you will see the various elements of the course and the additional reference materials and a discussion, but just the core subject matter.
Hello, and welcome to the Virtual Events Institute's course on how to increase audience engagement. This course satisfies one of your course requirements towards becoming a certified VEI Virtual Events professional. So what is this module going to cover? Well, we're going to talk about how to keep your audience engaged for the duration of the event.
Now I'm going to stop there because we don't see Stephanie. And one of the interesting things is I can't fast forward. Yeah. I can rewind, but I can't fast forward. I have to do the learning. And one of the things I've discovered over recent weeks as I've dipped in and out, and I, as you see, I've been busy building the business, not doing the learning, is that this is detailed, diligent stuff. I tried yesterday in advance of this call to do half a module while I did something else, and I couldn't. And I had to stop the other thing I was doing. This is not background noise. This is powerful, insightful stuff. So here we'll see.
Miguel.
You see, there you go, Miguel.
Well, the event may have objectives, but each stakeholder, each different group of people or type of people that participate or interact with your event may have their own set of objectives. And these usually fall into roughly 3 categories. Networking, when they connect with each other, learning, any sort of knowledge exchange, and business development. Many stakeholders have at the top of their list to do business at the event or as part of the event. And then it's very important not to neglect engagement. Although this is not normally an objective or a stated objective by any of the stakeholder groups, engagement is really the all-important glue that makes it possible for people to fulfill these objectives.
So as you can see, it's not the kind of content that works well in a presentation dynamic like this, because it's about learning. This is educational, but it's professionally presented and put together, and I can now scroll back to anywhere I want to pick up that piece.
Okay, but you can't go forward. So.
If we're not aware,
Can't go forward.
Okay.
And then that will show me where I'm at in the course. So here's another one I've got open on another tab. Again, I've gone a bit further with this one, so I can jump forward because
You've done that.
Because I've done this one. And then
They sound futuristic, slightly risky, and a step into the unknown.
Both this one by a lady called Dawn Dennison, who's ex-George P. Johnson in Hong Kong, and the Miguel one, I've had fantastic feedback from delegates. And if I go back here, you'll now see that one's unlocked, and there's downloadable material on each of the courses.
And so are there questions you need to answer?
Each course, each module at the end of it has, each module has self-paced exercises.
Yeah.
So the course yesterday, the one I was doing yesterday, which was about marketing, the self-paced exercises to define your audience personas. So define your audience personas and think about where you'll find them. So pretty standard marketing stuff, but with a view to working out how best to target them. So that was part of the exercise yesterday. And then at the end of the module, there are questions, and you have to complete and answer the questions in order to pass the module.
Great, right. Okay. And if you didn't get them right, you can go back into the module to find the answers, but that's part of that process of making you do the,
Right. And the self-paced exercises are really important. As I say, I think it's been kind of revelatory to me, having run events for 25 years, that you kind of think you know these things. And there was a really important, Eric, the course I was on yesterday, he talked about stop trusting your gut, start trusting the data. And actually, out of context, that jarred me personally, because as someone who's been doing this for 25 years, I thought I knew what I was doing, and it forced me to do the self-paced exercise with more diligence than I might have done, because I'd been shocked out of some complacency. And unlike what's interesting there, Richard, and I'm thinking about this spontaneously, but it's an important point. Unlike classroom learning, having been shocked out of my complacency, I could then immediately do the self-paced exercise. I didn't have to wait for the teacher
again. Yeah.
In order to go away and do what I cared about. It was a dramatic moment for me. So there we have it. You wanted to talk about pricing.
Yeah, give us the pricing model, and then we'll flip across to some of the questions that I can see are in there.
We have you can buy an individual session, which clearly won't get you certification, but you can buy them one at a time. Our standard rate is $950. But we have freelancer, student and not-for-profit rates, and we have a rate for open to work. We believe that this is an important moment for upskilling for the event industry. And for those of our colleagues who are suffering because of what's going on, we want to be as accommodating as possible to them. So our open to work package is $250. So
okay, and the not-for-profits, presumably that's charities, industry associations,
exactly that, and freelancers as well. That's $490. We're priced in dollars, obviously, because we're an international business. So, Richard, shall I tell the audience, or shall you, that they're entitled to their EMA? No. So, we have created a partnership, ladies and gentlemen, with EMA, and you are all entitled to a 10% discount on those prices.
And sorry, the corporate packages. So if one company says, okay, I want 6 of my team to do this, then we have corporate packages. I will do my best in those to honour the 10% discount that EMA has as well. So that EMA's participation and value add is also part of that mix. Cool. What if, I mean, here's a hypothetical thing, that because I think there's definitely probably within this group, someone will see, okay, yeah, this is great, but let's test it. So let's have one person do it. And then if that person thinks it's good, we can have the rest of you do it, or 4 or 5 of you do it. Would you be able to then flip from a single, that
Sure.
I can't talk to you about it. Say, okay, yeah, okay, we did one person, but now we need 5, so we'll put that across the whole 6 or something. Yeah.
We can't announce it yet.
Yeah.
But in January, we will announce that one of the biggest event organizing companies in the world, and I mean trade show conference organizing companies, has signed up with an enterprise deal for us, and that will be most of their staff will go through the course. Now, that is a large enterprise deal, and that has involved several cohorts of that business going through to sample and test and sanity check. So clearly, that's wonderful for us. Would accommodate as much as possible.
Simon, do you just want to run through the question box, just to sort of flick through that yourself and answer some things?
I think one came in saying, would this be suitable for event executive level physical 3 to 5 years event experience?
Yes, I think we've tried with this initial program to make it as relevant for anyone who's been around events. 3 to 5 years experience, I would have thought was the what I thought is the lower limit. But you know what, Priya, if someone like you came straight from university and had been running events and was engaged into business, I think there's learnings there. I hope the sample I gave showed that these are intended to be useful supplements where you have no existing skills, brush up those, and huge boosts where you don't, and that's going to vary for everybody. So I don't believe there's one size fits all, but right now we've had people who've been running events for 30 years say this is great, and people who've been running them working on them for 3 years say they're great. I think the content's generic enough. I would have thought fewer than 3 years, and you might find that there's just not enough business knowledge and experience to really benefit. But that would be my sense.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Simon, one thing that has come up in many of our conversations, and I know it's very individual to lots of the businesses and the companies, but it's the whole discussion around security, and so the back end. So let's say, let's just say HSBC or Barclays Bank are looking at a platform. Their IT people and their security will have a lot of questions on the selection of that program. Have you got an element on security? And I think there is some.
We don't yet, but I've written it down because I think it's a great. I think it's a great topic.
I'll send my bill in.
Perhaps Richard, you could help us present that. I mean, again,
it's a massive question because a lot of them companies can't. So and just say that some of our members, I think they're okay now, but 3 months ago they couldn't use Zoom because of security issues on the back end of Zoom. So their companies could independently, but they couldn't use it through their company system.
I saw yesterday that AirMeet, I think, has a huge problem with as a platform with businesses and public sector and banking, where the security level is higher. The AirMeet's a struggle for those. We haven't. I think it's a great topic. We've been going since July. This is seed funded, and we focused on what we could. If you think about the amount of work that goes into producing that 1 hour module, it is. We've got a lot to do. There's a very interesting question, Amanda. Again, I don't believe we have an opportunity to increase speed. But I'll find that out. I know we've had conversations about transcripts and captioning on the modules. I don't know where we're at with that. It's not been part of my my remit in the business. I'll find out and come back to you on that. I think it's a very important question, that accessibility issue. And Sarah's asked about award ceremonies. We've tried, Sarah, to not be specific about any genre of event. We've tried to be, I would say we probably have a slant towards B2B generally, but not towards any type of event, whether that's a meeting or a conference or a trade show or an awards ceremony. I think as we go forward and start to increase the amount of content we create, we will focus on those, particularly for me, because what I do now in my day job is awards, and my charity film awards was, I think I'm proud to say, one of the first events in the world to pivot to virtual. We were scheduled to take place on the 20th of April this year. We had to cancel and film it all in my front room in 2 weeks. So if you want to know what the difference between what was possible then and what was possible now, we're a great benchmark, and perhaps Sarah, we could have a conversation about that. But I think awards are clearly one of the areas which has really embraced the opportunities but face a number of challenges. So we will start to segment by event type as we go forward. Hello, Donna. It's been too long. The discount shares for as long as we are in partnership with the EMA, which we hope will be forever.
Yeah.
Have I missed any questions?
No, I think that's all of them covered. If anyone else has got anything, please add them in now.
Yeah, and we'll be, as the relationship unfolds and stuff like that, we'll be bringing Simon, perhaps some of his colleagues, to the table to do some quick, sort of updates across the industry, and what's going on, or this is an exciting thing. And it might be that we even have a panel. The great thing is now we've got access also to some great speakers, so we can bring some of those to the forefront through Simon.
I was just thinking a collab around some subject matter experts
absolutely
would be really, really interesting.
Yeah. No, so I think great opportunities to help, sort of, on all sides. We're really looking forward to the partnership.
Wonderful, and please do all, if you whether you want to engage with the learning now or in the future, please do come along to the summits. Do connect with us on social. Do suggest things where you think there are gaps, like the security issue. I think that's a really valuable module that we can start to include. This is, as I say, we're a baby. We're 6 months old on seed funding with an incredible panel of advisors and some incredible partnerships, but this is only going to get better, and it will get better because we care about what people like you think and how we service you.
Absolutely. Jane's off to try and get some budget.
Well done, Jane. If anybody wants any supporting material, we've got some, I can provide you with some documentations and some overviews, and those 2 pages of testimonials, I suspect, are very powerful in showing colleagues that some training budget should be apportioned to this.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps that's something as we build your partnership area within EMA, that's some stuff that we can just post in there so people can just download it from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Priya, I'll share my the deck I presented from with you after this call, and then I'm happy for you to share that with everybody who's on the call, or indeed people who couldn't make it, so that they will have access. And anyone, please feel free to reach out to me personally on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, although that's not my work platform of choice. Or pick up the telephone and give me a call. I'm relishing actually speaking to people again. Your
details will be shared with everybody, and that's not just the people on here, Simon. That's the full membership as of tomorrow when that goes out.
Sorry, Donna's asked, just to quickly pick up on that, because Donna came in late. Donna, we are in the middle of getting CPD accreditation, and CPD is internationally recognised, so yes. And those CPD points from us will not just count towards being a certified virtual event specialist, but you could count those CPD points towards other professional qualifications or requirements in your role. That's one of the benefits of the CPD system.
All right. Well, Simon, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you all for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It was very interesting, and I think it's absolutely a great initiative that you guys have undertaken.
Thank
you.
And
certainly something that is absolutely needed within the industry, because this is a whole new world we're moving into very, very quickly, and trying to navigate it and steer through it and find our way through it is extremely difficult. And it's great, one benefit we've seen as EMA members talking to each other, and they're sharing, have you used this, have you used that, what, how does this work, what does that think about this, is great. And here you are sort of also bringing that all together on a much wider marketplace. So again, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank
guys. going to call that a wrap. So thank you very much. We'll be emailing over the next few days about stuff that's going on. We've got another event next Thursday, I think is our next one. So we'll be in touch with that and some exciting developments happening as Priya and myself get EMA moving again and up to full speed. Thank you very much indeed, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.